Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are on planet Earth. I'd like to raise a few issues, a few concerns in giving independent, intelligent thought to some processes independent of the virtue signaling that is taking it by merit or by default, the news and information that we absorb via the media as ultimate given truth, like people swear on the Bible. I speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I'll say that again. Speak the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Now, when we watch our media and our news, us humans in our societies, spread in many nations across this planet, tend to have a default subconscious belief program that if the standing power of authority that is governance to our societies, i.e. government, whatever, that we tend to believe that it's always there as a parental support in that operates in the best and highest interests of all living human beings that make up that collective. That is a inherent subconscious belief that most people take for granted. It's like we go to school, we get educated, and we're taught certain things, be them an ultimate truth or not. We take it on merit that that is how things are. Which then, in that state of mind operating, we tend to, when we hear a story about an event, we tend to take that as truth. Otherwise it wouldn't be presented to us at all. Why would they go out of their way to present something that's not true? Yeah, most people would think like that. So let me throw a few ideas around. But in doing so, I realise at this time with what's going on in Australia that this making a video about this very topic, as I go further into this, could even be me taking great risk to my own person as far as criminality, simply talking about such topics, which I'm going further into. So I say that right now as a disclaimer to present to you that I am a free thinker, that I think for myself, I research into things. I don't take on merit what the media tells me as truth, because I like to be the one within self who decides, because I also have trust issues with trusting information from a higher collective authoritative state. Knowing that it's made up of a collective of individuals all contributing into an inherent ancestrally passed down system of operandi. To believe that such a system is free of any deception or corruption would be absolute ignorance, in my opinion. To trust it without questioning would be ignorance without a question in my mind. So I'm going to throw a few theories around here. Why is it that the Queensland Police board or conglomerate, whatever it's called, is thinking about purchasing the property of this recent shooting of 2 police officers? Why would they want to purchase the crime scene? In respect, as a memorandum to the event, as a gift of respect? It just seems really weird to me that after such an event occurs, as we're told in the media, and now they want to purchase the crime scene. Unless, maybe, possibly, I'll just throw this out there as a hypothetical disclaimer. I'm not saying this is an ultimate truth, but I'll put the question out there because I like to ask questions about everything. If there was any responsibility of any activity of any agency or agencies of some sort of treason to commit conspiracy against the Australian people through lies and deception of true events, and the crime scene, if investigated by a third party, an independent inquiry and investigation into that crime scene was to show some sort of evidence of a different story to the narrative that we're told, then it would make sense that such a party would want to purchase the property so that it's safe and controlled. And if that was, I'm speaking hypothetically here, if that was, speaking hypothetically, just say it's true for a moment, yeah, that would be all about control and safety in order to hide something. Just throwing that out there. The other thing that's unusual is they're bringing in right now, they're attempting to through Parliament, through creating new laws, because of this event. They wish to bring through a new law and a new act, and it's potentially going to be called something like the Misinformation Act or the Conspiracy Theorist Act, which would incriminate anyone who had and expressed publicly their personal thoughts that were outside the published narrative of the media presented to the masses by the media, by the state. So basically what that tells me is even good, God-loving, everyday citizens and human beings who are independent thinkers, who don't simply take for word what the media 6 o'clock news presents as a fact or a truth, but like to question that untrustingly, this law has potential to incriminate them, to make it legal to put people who think or mention anything outside the state narrative, to be incriminated and go to court, potential jail. And when you think about that, don't we, as a free agency, free open society, when we see that happening in China or in North Korea or in Iran or wherever else there's like a system of control ahead of state, we as Australians would collectively view that as the equivalent of the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, squashing anyone who has different thoughts and ideas that don't fit into the agenda of that state. So I think you can see where I'm going with all this. I'll say another hypothetical. Okay. If this headmaster, school guy, teacher guy, I'm not saying he didn't have guns. He probably did have guns. Unless we see video footage from the cameras on the police officers to see who shot who and which direction did the bullets come from. A bit like when you do the JFK, the investigation of the JFK shooting. Where did the bullets come from? What direction? Did it come from the building up there? What trajectory? What angle when it hit the body and then the person fell? Where did those bullets come from? I'd like to just mention again that, the authority wants to purchase that crime scene. They want to purchase that land. They want to purchase that house, that property. Just thought I'd throw that in there again. I think you understand where I'm going with that. I was told that the final assassination style shots to these two brothers, one an ex-headmaster of school, was at the top of the neck, in the spine, at the back of the head, which in certain training is a style to execute to have certain death. It seems very professional. And of course, these, what do they call it, special units are probably trained in that, and some of them probably come from backgrounds in special operations soldiers within militaries. I'll also throw in here the possibility of that some agencies may utilize their tools, like special persons, to operate as doubles. So like someone, say from, I don't know, I won't mention the agency's names, but someone in a high up agency, the equivalent of something like the CIA, they could implant their operatives within special police forces, again, military backgrounds and everything, and in intelligence, within intelligence agencies. So it's like a double agent working within a certain state's police, but is actually taking orders from another agency, but implanted within the police. So you have this neighbour that comes over with all the stuff that's going on. Another way of looking at that neighbour is as a witness. So that maybe, you know, we don't know, because nobody in the Australian community, of the Australian public has seen any actual evidence of which bullets came from where and went to where. So I say this is a hypothetical. As another possible scenario, was the neighbour an unexpected arrival to witness something that was not what we're told through the news? So he unfortunately had to be taken out. Was these inexperienced police officers that showed up? And this is a question under hypothetical, because none of us have any actual evidence. We have to trust what we're told through the states as the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, right? Yeah, that's right. What if these poor police officers were chosen sacrifices for a greater good? And that greater good could be bringing in a new law, act, which I've mentioned earlier. And in order to cause the activation of a new act, it's possible that you could set up a situation to create that. And I'm not saying that's true, I'm just questioning everything and looking at other scenarios here. Because, where was I going with this? I've lost my train of thought, believe it or not. That's really weird. It's just dropped straight out. So, if you have, as the story goes, these police officers are gunned down. We don't have any evidence showing where, which bullets came from where and went to where, from whom to whom. And the girlfriend between the two brothers wasn't really mentioned much, except that she was dead. And the media painted a picture of the brothers' involvements in conspiracy theory forums. Other than the actual event itself, they're already implanting into the Australian public this scenario. Like, everyone, and apparently they had camo backpacks. There's a lot of guys who have camo backpacks. I have a camo backpack. I work with guys that are out of the Australian military, ex-soldiers that spent time overseas, places like Timor, Solomon Islands, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. And they're proud that they have their backpacks. So it's like, you know, you go through an airport, it's like, oh, better not have a camo backpack anymore, because people might think that I'm affiliated with some sort of terrorist organisation that wears camo, that could be a headmaster of a school, because, you know, an unexpected person, could be anyone, could even be a doctor who does surgery on removing brain tumours from someone at St Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne. Don't trust anyone. You know? Oh, he's got a backpack that's camo. You know, like this sort of shit. There's a real picture painted here for this act. But yeah, what I'm saying, and where I lost my thought before, was in a hypothetical scenario, if these young, new, inexperienced police officers were chosen to be sacrificed for the greater good of a cause which creates a new law that gives more control to a state over a people, a bit like the Chinese Communist Party running people in China, right? You know, that if an independent organisation that has recognition and some sort of authority was to speak hypothetically, discover something like that, then it would come under treason against the masses, against the Australian people, and treason to conspiracy, treason and conspiracy, or treason to conspire. It's just like tricking everyone, basically bullshitting everyone in order to for its own self-interest, which is aligned with control of consciousness of a greater length of people. And you'll think about the timing of all this. The timing is very interesting right now, after what went on through COVID as well. So it's quite interesting when you think of what went on, and also if, hypothetically speaking, certain agencies are got certain tentacles of data research out at the moment, they may be witnessing a higher number of people that are now distrusting through scanning many sources of multimedia and communications across the internet, connected globally, that out of their own fear of self-sustenance, to maintain their position, that it would make sense for them to want to bring in such a law to guarantee that they can stop any sort of expanding growth or interaction or outbreak of a certain mentality that would not be in the interests of their narrative of how they view and want the virtue signalling of the masses to basically represent and adhere to their state of broadcasting presence, expectation of adherence of a certain mindset, which is really interesting. This guy from work the other day, an engineer, he just went back to Tehran to see his very sick mother, because it's possible, I guess, that she might die. So he had to fly back to Tehran, which is having mass protest sort of stuff going on. Every channel, I think they have I think he said 8 channels. So there's 8 channels, separate channels. The elite system at the highest level has made all those channels broadcast exactly the same thing over and over. So all you can watch is, you know, these muftis or whatever they're called, that run the place. So it'd be like on every coin we have the Queen's face, whereas on their TV screen they would see the face of their supreme leader and some messages with prayer and stuff like that. And you can't go and watch something else. It's on every 8 channels, a bit like the day 9/11 happened, where every channel was broadcasting live because it was such a big event. So this is happening in Iran. All the people who have got satellite dishes, right, that can pick up international information outside that jurisdiction, outside that state, they can't really get much. It's in and out because the government has set up electronic microwave jammers to disrupt all the satellite signals and that. And according to this individual, he said the cancer rate is going off the charts because everyone in Tehran is being bombarded by this high energy frequency wave that they're using to jam the internet and all the satellite cable networks, and they've got full control of every television network. And if you don't call that an authority in complete fear and panic, what is it? Because they can either kill more and more civilians until they become obedient, or the people end up overthrowing the state. And it's not really about overthrowing a state, because the state isn't really an object. It's not here, it's not here, it's not this thing here, it's not these buildings. It's just simply a pyramid of projected control. And if that pyramid of collective control up to its source starts collapsing, and the militarized forces protecting it lose obedience, then that really has no power structure within itself anymore, because it's not one person or one being, it's a collective all adhering to a certain narrative and state. So it's going to be really interesting watching this unfold, where this is going, because as the frequency on the planet is increasing and these ideologies of the old-fashioned archaic systems start to fall apart and break down, because we're witnessing that now with the CCP party in China and in Tehran. And yes, people will die. You will not stop people dying in this process. It's just an unfortunate symptom of this progression into the future as humanity walks in and emerges into this new state of higher consciousness, which means that the government has to shift into a level respecting that as well. And in this case, we're moving back to heart-based love and integrity and respect of boundaries, and recognizing the quality of the ultimate of human life itself as the supreme value system before money comes into the equation. Because right now we're operating on money is God and people are slaves to that system. And this is where you have this deep state style system running and operating and pulling these stunts as they're doing. If you believe that to be true, and I didn't say that was true, did I? No, I'm not going to incriminate myself as a misinformationist or a conspiracy theorist, no. But you tell me. We trust certain things. When asbestos was being used, no one knew that was bad for you. If there wasn't an authority there to say this is bad for you, don't touch it. Yeah. If people heard, oh, the state said, don't touch that asbestos stuff, don't breathe in it, it's bad for you. That wasn't happening then. There's all sorts of examples throughout history where you can look back and see mistakes that were made, either out of just not having any knowledge, or simply that there was no duty of care or concern until people started suing, and then, you know, someone's going to lose a lot of money. It's always that way if you look at it. So why would you then completely by default have this mechanism within your brain that absorbs information from the nightly news as if that information is going straight in, and then that is becoming the reality as a truth, as facts, simply by looking at a TV screen and absorbing that, and it's creating settings within your brain, then a set of belief programs structured within the brain that set us up to absorb information like that as fact and truth without questioning, without being critical. Well, now it's becoming to the point now where if you are critical, then you're anti-gov, anti-whatever, and there's potential of moving towards being incriminated for being a critic and not having trust in the hierarchical pyramidal system of the collective that makes up the idea of a government. And yet, it's not the government and the people, it's all one giant hive. It's a collective. So in a sense, we all are the government, and collectively we are all responsible for the appointment of those that we apparently collectively choose to run the high branches of the structure of society and civilization. Living, breathing humans who are all alive with a beating heart, who have feelings, who eat or need water, and every structure, every man-made structure exists because of the collective mass of everyone working in some sort of unison. But would you say that system is perfect, that it's running at complete integrity, that it's running at complete Anyway, everyone, my phone said that it had exceeded a high temperature and switched off, and now it's gone to resume. I'm just going to get off here now and leave it where it is. But I hope you find my questions interesting. We are human beings, and we are smart enough to ask questions without taking certain information published through certain agencies as ultimate truth and fact. We are intelligent enough to question, dissect, and use our innate intuitive abilities, and knowing the difference between truth and deception through the essence of our own heart space, in recognizing the frequency of truth. So please apply it as children in a universe, in the grand scheme of things, as we witness the unfoldment and evolution of humanity here on this earth. Thank you. Nanu Nanu. Live long and prosper. And talk to you all soon. I'll make some copies of this, and I'll make sure that it's not only on saved somewhere, but also other people can have it in case it's seen as something that's not allowed. Let's find out, shall we? Let's find out. Bye for now.